Welcome back to Toys on Tap. This week is incredible. Fixed Temple Toys comes up and talks about the Glorble and the gospel that is the truth of Glorble and how he's taken over the world with Glorble and the lore and the toy making and everything that goes along with that. If you have seen him at shows, you have seen him with a blue Glorble head on, and it is an incredible piece to see. If you watch the Toys on Tap on YouTube, you will actually get to see how that thing functions, how it works, and how it's breathable, even though it doesn't look like it. If you want to support Toys on Tap, you can like, follow, rate, review wherever you get podcasts. It is free for you. It helps us. It's always nice. Rate the show. Tell us what you think of the show. All the good things. If you want to support us even more, follow us on all socials at Toys on Tap. That's where you're going to stay up to date. We have Kickstarters. We're starting pre-sales. All kinds of good stuff. So stay up to date because we've got some good stuff cooking. And if you want to support the show even more by becoming a sponsor, sponsoring select episodes, or doing anything like that, shoot us a DM or an email. We'd love to talk. Now let's get to this week's episode of Toys on Tap. It has been a long time coming. I have this rotational list that just keeps growing and shrinking and growing and shrinking. You've been on there because at one point I saw you walking around the show with a giant blob on your head.
Yeah.
And we're for sure going to talk about that. So I say we just jump in and you tell all of us who you are and what you do.
My name is Fixed Temple Toys. I am a toy artist or multimedia artist. It extends a little bit further than just the toys when it comes to the universe of Glorbles and everything that I'm kind of working on creating or trying to create. My ideas are much bigger than my wallet and,
Dude.
my workforce. So it's just me working away, but, I've got big plans and big ideas. I'm always trying to tackle.
Every time I give money to the factory, it's there's a part of my heart that just hurts because it's I have so many ideas, but the money just I don't have enough money to do all the ideas I want to do.
Right. And then you see how a lot of times it takes money to make money.
Dude.
And it's I don't even know if this idea will work or not. I wish I could just test it, if I had the money and see what floats or doesn't. But yeah, I think a lot of us face that struggle of swimming up current.
Dude, the worst one is when you know it'll work, but you have to spend money to make sure that it's going to happen. So the thing that's been going on right now, so the Godzilla, we're going to Godzilla Fest in September, and I've almost run out of stock. And so it's I got to order a restock of those, plus new ones, plus whatever I want. And that bill alone was God, I know this is going to work there, but I hate that bill.
Yeah.
So that's, I feel that for sure. Walk me back. Tell me about childhood. Tell me about the toys you're playing with. Tell me about the cereal you're eating. All kinds of goodness of the childhood. So tell me about that.
Yeah, well, the whole brand is really rooted in nostalgia. And I'm probably eating the same cereals today as I was eating back then, man. Not a lot has changed when it comes to cereal. But yeah, man, I was a big imagination kid. I had a lot of action figures. I spent a lot of time in my room by myself, imagining scenarios, watching Dragon Ball Z, and then going out into my front yard and fighting invisible enemies. If phones were around back then, I definitely probably would have been filmed by a few neighbors.
Dude,
doing
and so embarrassing. Yeah.
But I had a ton of toys, man. I think back on the toys I played with the most, and I had a really cool Jurassic Park set that I wish I never got rid of.
Yeah.
A lot of cool Spawn things. Before I could even really watch that type of stuff, I was always into the sci-fi things. Makes me think we had an old VHS cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And my stepdad had brought over a bunch of his movies and stuff when my mom and him got married. And I remember there was The Predator was in there,
Yeah.
Terminator, Terminator 2, and I wasn't allowed to watch it, but I was just obsessed with when the day would come. You know, I'd sit there and draw pictures of Predator and Godzilla and all these things to try to purge my like curiosity of, you know, these classics. But yeah, so I feel like I was kind of introduced to that stuff pretty early on and had an interest in a lot of those gems. I was lucky.
Did you have any of the Spawn action figures?
I did.
Dude, I don't remember. I wasn't allowed to watch it when it first came out, but those figures were wild. I remember
Yeah.
like I had man, what was John Leguizamo's or whatever his name is, his clown character? What was that guy's name?
Oh, it was so creepy.
Yeah, that figure is forever ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
And then the Jurassic Park, did you have the full setup where the gates opened?
No, I didn't have the full setup.
Okay.
I just had a few here and there that I would, you know, mix into my own warfare that I was, you know, creating in the backyard.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Spawn toys, it was a while for me to be able or be allowed to have those as well. But I remember my uncle had one with a big gorilla in the mech suit
Yep.
up on a shelf. And it was like the toy that none of me or my cousins were allowed to play with. And I just would look up at them like, man, that thing's so much cooler than any toy I've got. You know, we're like fighting over the pink Power Ranger. And then
Yeah.
that thing's up there. And years down the line, I found it at a comic book shop in the packaging and I bought it just out of nostalgia. Like that was that toy I looked up at and always wanted. And now I have it. It's right over there on the shelf. But
Now you get to play
cool
with it
stuff
whenever
like
you
that.
want.
Yeah, man. No one can tell me no now.
I mean, just like the rest of us, at some point we had a moment in which we either came home and there was a yard sale that all of our toys are in, or we chose to get rid of them. When was D-Day for you?
Oh, I don't know because I do a lot of stuff. When my mind's on something that I want,
Yeah.
I'll do some regretful things sometimes. And I've definitely sold some stuff that I wish I didn't sell because I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, but look at this Game Boy Advance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'll do anything for that Game Boy Advance.
Dude, we
So-
would sell our soul for some of those things.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And now that I work at a vintage toy shop, I get to see a lot of that stuff come back in and things that I never knew the name of or never thought that I'd see again. You know, like I had this little ninja, this nameless little ninja from China
Yeah.
that I got probably in a Chuck E. Cheese basket for tickets or something. And I hadn't thought about that in 15 years or more, man. And at my work, it came in and I bought it immediately. It was just such a strange throwback and feeling of like, whoa.
Yeah. Are you talking about the ninjas that are like the quarter machine ones? They're like
I
holding
don't
a
know.
weapon.
Here.
They're like rubbery keshi, like.
Yeah. Let me grab
Yeah.
it real quick. Let me
Yeah.
grab it. I still don't really know what exactly it's from, but
Yeah, it's a quarter machine, like little ninja guy. They were either that, they have some in different poses. They're crazy.
they're so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
It's wild to see like stuff like that. There's whole worlds behind it that as kids we didn't even know about. So the guy that homies were in quarter machines for a long time. And the guy that made those, he now goes to shows and it's like, dude, I used to buy your crap. I used to buy it from this like little quarter machines. Now you're doing it like crazy. But it's crazy to see all that kind of stuff.
yeah, the homies were all over the place here. And then I think he had a booth at Designer Con. Either it was in Vegas, I think, not this year, maybe the last year.
Yeah.
But throwbacks, man, it's crazy growing up and
Dude, you get to see it all in a vintage toy shop, which is crazy. And we're going to walk up your timeline till we get to that point. Vintage toy shops, though, like, those things rock my world. There's like little toys that I've always wanted that I only find in some of these hole in the wall places. And like one of them, I don't even remember what it's called. I have it on my shelf. It's that little like skeleton and armor thing that like clips into like its own carrying case.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, dude, I'll have to send you a picture. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me. But I like traded away a bunch of toys because I saw it in someone's post, and it was like, dude, vintage toys drive me nuts. I love them so much. Um, Being willing to sell your soul for some of these toys and then new things like Game Boy Advance, which is also the era of like Pokemon and all that stuff. So are we just moving clear away from toys because we're headed towards that? Skateboarding, girls, art, all that stuff.
Oh man, skateboarding and Nirvana was like a problem
Yeah.
for a while.
That's the tagline for the episode right there. Skateboarding and Nirvana.
Yeah. I always had stuff like I kept a lot of my old toys, you know. Me and my mom for a long time would go do toy hunting stuff, you know, where we go and flip toys, go to Goodwills or garage sales. So there's always been that type of thing kind of happening.
Yeah.
But there was a long time where I was like, it was just skateboarding, it was music. I was in a band. There wasn't any toy stuff really going on, but it led to toy stuff down the road through street art and being involved in that type of art stuff. And then those stores also that usually supplied that type of thing usually also had art toys. You know, there's a very common bridge between graffiti and cool designer toys.
Yeah, that whole punk rock feeling. I mean, art bleeds in at some point. Is it through music or through like that street art part in like high school when we start to pick it up? Did you go to college for art?
I didn't. I went to college and took art classes, but I
Okay.
didn't. When I got my prereqs out of the way and had to kind of like choose a lane, I was like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Um, but art's always been a part of my life. You know, even since I was a little kid, craft days with my mom. I've got a really, really supportive mom when it comes to art stuff and my family in general. So, I mean, I've always been drawing. Me and my friends would just sit and draw Godzilla all day long,
My
you know,
guy.
or when Dragon Ball Z was a thing, I remember we all had binders that we would draw pictures or print off pictures from different scenes in Dragon Ball Z and then take them to school and like, you know, trade them with our friends or show them to our friends. So like drawing and that type of thing and crafts in general have always been a part of my life.
We're going to pause right here. One of the things that we have been thinking about with Toys on Tap is how can we grow? And we think we've settled on the pre-sale model, just like people do with Kickstarter, except with pre-sale, the funds are ready immediately. And so we can kind of start going immediately. So toys are quicker. We tried our best to do multiple Kickstarters a year, and we can. And you guys have shown that you love them and we deliver on time, and those are great things. But we do want to say that there is a limitation there. So we will be doing pre-sales with different things on our website, with different toys and things coming soon. And we're really excited about two of them. One of them, I get to work with a good friend again, More Horrific. Mark is doing incredible stuff. And the next one, I get to work with one of my favorite artists, Hemo Adventures. So we're really excited about that one as well. I also have other planned toys that I want to do. And so there's a potential where there's like multiple pre-sales happening a year, where it's like one a month for a little bit. And so if that's true, stay up to date. You're going to want to follow, get on the newsletter, all those good things. And we've been doing a survey to kind of talk through what it looks like to do pre-sales. And we'd love to hear from you. You can find that in the podcast description or in the YouTube video description. We would love to hear from you what you think about Kickstarter and pre-sales. Our goal is to really do right by our name and right by the people that support us and buy from us. And so we will continue to do that as we move into this new model. This doesn't mean Kickstarters are going away. It just means we will do them and other stuff but we're so excited. Let's get back to the episode.
And even with music, I was making our own album art for covers and things like that. And yeah, it's art's in some form. Art's always been around, I guess, is the
Yeah.
long story short.
Did you collect the Dragon Ball Z TCG?
I didn't. No.
Dude, it was so rad to have those cards. They got banned at my school because some kid, like you did by yourself playing Dragon Ball Z, some kid was doing that and like kicked another kid off a table. And it was just like this reenactment of cards or whatever was going on. And they immediately were like banned, all of them banned, which took the fun out of it for sure. But dude, I remember the era of like printing stuff off and bringing those pictures or like finding anything with those images on it. And it felt like contraband.
Yeah. Yeah. Stuff you'd have to do it before school. Even with like Beyblades, one kid would bring the arena and you'd have to get it in before school or on lunch break. But it made it worth going to school early. It's like suddenly you're able to wake up when you're supposed to.
Yeah. I remember Beyblades happening after school. Like there was some like program where you could stay later and kids were just like asking their parents to not pick them up so they could stay there and Beyblade up and do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, good times.
I mean, why we could do that at DesignerCon? We'll start a Beyblade club.
Yeah, that'd be a tournament.
Yeah,
that'd be a blast.
And then we'll put toys on the line for betting. We got this. It's what we can do. Doing the art classes tell me about when street art kind of starts, because that's like the seedy underground of these like art movements and these like graffiti movements. So when does that kind of play into your life and lead you back to toys?
Oh, so a teacher, actually. This all goes back to a teacher, a graphics teacher, at my high school. Miss Cavazos was her name. She was great. But in I took that screen printing graphics class so many times that by the last like 2 times that I had taken it, I was able to just do whatever I wanted in there because I had already done all the assignments before. So I could just go in there and make my own T-shirts and kind of made a little hobby out of it. But one day she brought in the TV and we all watched Exit Through the Gift Shop.
Dude, your teacher was awesome.
Yeah, we watched Exit Through the Gift Shop, and I believe that like her son was into that type of stuff because she had some crazy paintings, some crazy like graffiti-esque paintings in the classroom that I remember. And we had watched that, and I don't remember if it was shortly before that or shortly after that, but I had this like apocalyptic dream where, when I've told this story before, but I had this dream where there were like totalitarian police force, like marching everyone onto this train, this futuristic train. And the roof and the sides of the train were glass, so you could see through it. And once we were all like put onto this train and the doors closed, the guards were in, there was no getting on or off. The train started to go. And as the train started to go, all these grapples started hitting the glass. And this like from the outside, this like rebel crew like swung down and attached themselves to the outside. It started painting it, and all these like totalitarian kind of like police on the inside were losing their shit because there was nothing they could do. And in the dream, I was like, these are superheroes. You know what I mean? They're like the rebel force standing up against this bad thing. And I woke up with like an entirely different perception on graffiti and like it being a bad thing or a good thing, or who's, what a certain person's purpose is for doing graffiti could be miles apart from each other, And
dude, that's an insane dream, by the way. Like that, how that like got into your head.
I watch a lot of sci-fi stuff, and then I don't know, but it had like an epiphany, and I was like, this is cool. Like I want to do this. I want to not necessarily just write my name on things, but I want to put monsters on stuff. I want to put creatures on things. And And that was like one more step to making my art kind of alive, is putting it somewhere it shouldn't be, but out in the world for others to maybe like come across,
Yeah.
and find. And for me, it's a lot more about that treasure aspect of it than it is putting it everywhere.
Hmm.
I want it to be in strange places that you might end up on a strange day and you're like, oh, well, Fixed Temple Toys was here, or somebody put a Glorble here, and having them around places, whether it be wheat paste or installations or whatever, stickers even, has always been like the main focus of the whole project before it became 3D and wound up as toys, was just to make this kind of like interactive character more real, to
Yeah.
everybody else.
How did your teacher get a copy of Exit Through the Gift Shop? I've only seen it on YouTube. Like, I don't own a physical copy of that.
Oh, I do, but I can't remember if I let someone borrow it or not. I can't find it, dude. I've been looking for
Okay.
months for it. But I actually got mine at a place in Portland called Future Shock, and it was in a DVD case and like had artwork on it and everything. It folded out, but
Weird.
they're out there.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing graffiti and getting fully plugged into that, and then, because this is high school for you, and then moving through that kind of changes the trajectory a little bit. And so going through that kind of stuff and then taking regular art classes in college, what's the dynamic we're kind of playing with there?
I mean, I think I knew in general that if I was going to do something after school, it was going to be art related,
Cool.
and when it came to prerequisites, it was like I wanted to take all the art that I could, just because that in general was my interest.
Yeah.
Um, Even though, like, drawing forms and stuff like that isn't necessarily what I was interested in, all of that stuff ends up helping eventually. You know what I mean? One more tool in your pocket's one more tool in your pocket, and that's even with me being in a band before I was interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
I write my own music for a lot of my videos and things that I still put forward. So now that's just another extension of my art that I can plug into what I do now.
All right. So speed me up a little bit. When do we start encountering where, like, toys where you realize I can do this? Tell me about the Glorble. When does that kind of like get into this whole thing?
Yeah, so first they were a 2D thing.
Okay.
They were a sticker design. And then I think the first step to it being even more 3D after that, which is what, a lot of artists do in Portland, is like woodcuts.
Yeah.
It was cut it out of wood and painted it up. And there's a store in Portland. It's called PD Exchange, and they sell all kinds of people stickers, and street artists work there, paintings. They host gallery shows. Um, they have a big sticker frog. It's like a big metal frog that holds a tray out front, and people throughout the day will just dump their own stickers in, and you can just take and put stickers in, or whatever. So people are constantly trading and doing that type of thing in Portland. And
Hmm.
this place did a gallery show, and I was in that gallery show, and I sold my first woodcut Glorble.
Dope.
And then after that, my stepdad actually got me a 3D printer for Christmas, and I was like, oh, I can maybe try and sculpt and make some little baby versions of these, and print them out and just sell them with the sticker packs that I was already selling. I never knew that it was gonna like snowball into kind of what it snowballed into, which,
Yeah.
being large in art in Portland, if that name is familiar, she did a lot of resin casting and a lot of mold making for people all over the place. And I was put in contact with her to be able to make a mold, to be able to do some resin cast, to be a little faster than my printer. And she said, since you're local, why don't you just come in and I'll teach you how to do this stuff? And I spent a few days there just learning how to make molds and cast. And while I was there, one of her employees ended up quitting, and she was in the middle of a job. So I got jumped in to just stay there and help for a few more weeks. And I got all kinds of experience, and got to watch how all that stuff works and work the pressure pod. And that was like tremendous for a head start for me.
That's insane. On the job learning, like to have someone that just quits and she's like, "Hey, let's rock this," and you just jump right in. Um, Going from 2D, because at this point you didn't have a sculpt in hand, right? When she's showing you how to
Right.
like do all that. Okay, so going from 2D to learning the process before we even make it, and then now working there and being able to do that is crazy. Like that, you picked up so many skills.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had just picked up Nomad because I heard it was cheap and I wanted to play around with, 3D modeling. Um, and I had made my first character was its name was Kismet. I might have one over here. Maybe I don't. Oh yeah, right here. Which Glorbles weren't the first thing. Like this was the initial thing that she helped me mold
Cool, cool, cool,
before
cool.
Glorbles was this guy, and I made the base and put that little LED in there to charge him up. And I sold some of those, and then I did the Glorble pretty much right after that. And those didn't sell as well. The Glorble was more like a street art for fun thing, and people really liked those a lot more. Um,
Dude.
just yeah, it's never what you think, It's
Yeah, and I think Portland itself seems like such a hard place to do art because so many people do art there. And so if you're gonna do it, it feels like one, it's you're in a place where you can learn how to do art well, whatever that means. But two, like you're surrounded, like to make a name for yourself is tough in a sea of artists. So what is it? I mean, starting out like that, is that kind of influencing you as you're beginning to like dabble in making these resin toys?
yeah, it's still like I feel like I right now am trying to kind of herd up all of the local artists and toy makers because there's not a huge scene that's like right now for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of the Portland art scene is people who are into prints and screen printing and stickers and pins. And that stuff all does really well, but there's not a ton of toys. Um, so I never really did great in Portland. I had the little gallery show and I sold the wooden one,
Mm-hmm.
but it was never like if I set up a booth in Portland right now, which I just did a little pop up the other day in Portland. I didn't sell a whole lot because nobody really knows what I'm doing or what's going on or what resin is and the time that it takes to sand and cast and do all that. So it's a lot of kids wanting Glorbles and parents being appalled by the prices and
Yeah.
things like that. But I'm very much still trying to like kind of get a name for myself in my own home state and get the word out there for people who are into the toy stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's an unfair advantage for like people in LA where there is a scene or anywhere that Designer Con is. When we all come together, it just feels different. The scene is just massive because everyone's all in one place. But yeah, dude, that I can't imagine having to build from the ground up, and you're doing it.
thanks. Yeah, I mean, and it's tied in, like I said, with the street art and doing whatever I can to advertise and make it fun for
Yeah.
people, with the videos that I make and there's a lot more that's going to be happening, a lot more like ARG type stuff for people to kind of have fun with and play around with.
So you start making the Glorbles, you start doing the resin and stuff. When does Fixed Temple Toys come out? When where do we get the name?
So Fixed Temple Toys was initially when I had made that floating character. The name was kind of a play on like your temple being your body and fixed not being necessarily like fixed as in broken, but fixed as in still,
Mm-hmm.
in your form, fixed in place per se. And it was that was initially the name connection, which now doesn't really play too much of a part in the universe, but I'm still working that in as things kind of grow and evolve. I like to say that my world building is open beta right now, so certain things might change here and there. The name's not going to, but I am going to try and work it into things a little bit to give it a little bit more meaning than just like, oh, it was something I came up with then and just
Dude.
decided to stick with, you know?
So how long from the beginnings of the resin and the beginnings of Fixed Temple did we go from there to tabling and showing up at shows and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So do you remember the show Boozin' Buddies on Instagram? Were you ever familiar with that? Like years back, it was Fed Up Toys and Playful Gorilla hosted it.
Yeah, there was 4 of them, right? It was
It
like
was an
stacked.
Instagram show.
Yeah.
I sometimes, yeah, they would have different artists on there. But Being Large and Art, the one who was showing me, how to do all the casting and resin, she was like, there's a whole scene for this type of thing outside of you just selling them for, with your sticker packs. There's a whole toy scene. I'd never heard of Designer Con. I knew that there was like cool indie toys being made, but I wasn't familiar with how massive the scale of it all was. And she introduced me to the Boozin' Buddies crew, and they had me on that show. And I sold a ton on there because, I mean, every Friday night they would have a new artist who would sell things, have giveaways. There would always be people in there. Everyone would always do pretty well on selling things. And I was like, oh, wow, there's a whole collector base for this type of stuff. And through those connections, Fett being one of the hosts of that, I think the first year that I went to Designer Con, I had rented just a $50 spot on his display case, and was able to sell some stuff there. And that was my first, like, even experience at Designer Con. I got to have things for sale at Designer Con, which was mind blowing to me. It was overwhelming in the best way because I was like, what is this? I didn't even know, any of this type of stuff existed, and snowballed from there.
Dude, the Instagram shows early on start like I just remember seeing shows like that, which I wonder where that went. I'm hoping that it'll eventually come back. And then we hosted something called the Bootleg Marketplace, and you're not wrong in describing this like scene where someone sometimes just holds up a toy and people just start throwing that claim out so quick because they want the toy so bad. But it's like, I miss those types of Instagram shows and stuff. And so I like, that's definitely where Toys on Tap is going to head back into, because I for sure miss that so much.
Yeah, me too. And there's a difference between a lot of live shows where you feel like they're just trying to sell you something. Everything that they show you is the best thing they've ever seen, and it feels like you're being sold something rather than being shown a cool toy. And I don't know, there's a difference. I think that like the personality of the host is huge, and whether they're passionate about toys shows through, or if they're just trying to make a dollar.
Yeah.
It's usually pretty obvious to me, at least, but
yeah. So you have the Fed Up Instagram, you then go to the show, or you have the shelf at the show. How long until you convince yourself we're doing a table at the next show?
I mean, I don't know if I wanted to do a whole table, but I knew I wanted to keep going for sure. I mean, the people I met, I was having such a good time, even with the connections and hanging out with all of these people that were like-minded in what they were creating, and a lot of our nostalgic influences. Like, we all kind of loved toys when we were younger. So it's not hard to be around toy people and find common ground with pretty much anybody.
Dude, it's not. Now, take me to the point where you start going to shows and build this giant head that you're walking around with, just hanging out, talking to people.
Yeah. I always, along with the lore of the Glorbles, is that they're a nostalgic influence between kind of the Flubber and the Thing and other gooey, globby, shape-shifting type, Kirby, all these things from my childhood kind of blended into one thing. And kind of like the thing, when the Glorble extracts your DNA to be able to shapeshift and fully replicate your form, initially it's stuck on your head. And if you can imagine kind of like loading or whatever, it mind controls the person for as long as it wants before it pops off and is then able to go replicate the whatever it was stuck on. So the initial idea was that the headquarters of where all these anomalies are being contained and hunted down had a Glorble outbreak, and
Okay.
that Glorble agent, which was me in the suit, was a mind controlled agent from the administration that's kind of walking around unknowingly that he is a Glorble. And so the head was, I had a buddy who had a big filament printer, a bigger filament printer than I did. I've got it right here, actually. You
Dude,
can see
it's
it's all just like,
glorious.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's two pieces that are magnetic. So I thought that it would make it a little easier to pack up and travel with, but they're literally just Legos with little magnets glued. It's super crude on the inside.
Yeah.
And then I see through right here,
The mouth, right?
the top of the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, which so there's not a lot of viewing room. I've definitely learned to like keep my distance from booths and stuff like that when I'm walking around. But my buddy Vinyl was canceled. Printed this for me in 8 pieces. So the front half was 4 pieces, 4 squares. The back half was 4 squares that I had to kind of glue and put together. And because it's round, it was really hard to like hold everything at the force that it needed to while gluing it and have it all be even. So it took a ton of like Bondo and sanding to get this thing to look as smooth as it does, because yeah, if I could do it again, I would definitely find someone with an even bigger printer and maybe just print it in one piece or have it printed in 2 pieces, because it was
Yeah.
a ton of work.
How hot is it inside of that head?
Very. But I run cold, so it's usually not too much of an issue. Like when at Collected Con Chicago, it was hot as hell, and I was having a little bit of a struggle.
Dude, I would put it on for a picture and then just remove it. There's no way I'm doing it long term.
Yeah, well, the issue, I would have it on longer, but the issue is I feel like I have it on, it brings somebody over,
Yeah.
they ask a price or something, and then I immediately break the illusion when I have to lean over and go, $35. I like it's like when you hug the mascot and you see the weird dude through the mouth that's looking back at you and you're like, "Ooh, what the?"
Yeah.
I don't want to break that illusion. And it's been really helpful to have my girlfriend who joins me on a lot of these recent cons, and she can kind of do the talking and I can do the the performative stuff here and there. But yeah, it definitely does get warm in there, and it's hard to talk. It's hard for people to hear me, stuff like that. It's a little bit of a pain.
I'm intrigued by that creation because it's one, the changeability of it. It seems like it's been done in so many different colors and stuff now, because it can be done, and there's so many different things that you can do. It reminds me of like the blank part of a dunny. I mean, what are the goals that you want to do with this beauty of a piece that is your creation, your own IP?
Man, well, I mean, the story in of the universe of everything. You know what I mean? There's factions. There's the headquarters. This kind of shady complex that it kind of deals with containing in the outbreak of the Glorbles, who are technologically advanced and seem to have kind of known what was going to happen before the Glorble outbreak happened. And there's that crew. They deal with a lot of like robotics and things because in the lore, Glorbles were soul suckers. So having people on the front lines of this Glorble invasion was not an option because people have souls. So the way that the administration would handle this was putting out autonomous bots, basically, to be the middleman and transferring, containing, and yada, yada, yada. And the Glorble agent, like as the story has progressed, the Glorble agent, who is, me with the helmet on, is just one small focus of a person that works at this place who then gets fired. And I don't know if you saw the video, my Glorble private eye video.
I don't think
but
so.
That's a whole video I filmed just recently downtown, and it's all about the Glorble private eye who got fired from the administration and has now done the second best thing that he could think of and become a private eye. And that's going to have its own story and focus right there. But on the side of that, you have like different cult factions. These are factions of kind of zealot fanatics who think the Glorble invasion and the great Glorble reset is a good thing. They willingly give up their souls to the Glorble, and put themselves willingly through all manners of different experiments and sacrifices and crude surgeries to be able to kind of glorify and help the great Glorble cause, which is taking over everything. And then you've got bots that have decided they no longer want to be middlemen anymore, and they gain sentience. They're like, fuck this, I want to go be a lumberjack. And they just goes off and does human things. There's lots of stuff that eventually I'll be like, here's my Fanatic series. Here's my this series. And then with the videos as well, like kind of have different ways of telling the story through different media facets, basically.
I need you to produce a Bible for the Glorbles. Like if it's a religion that people just start bowing down to, the Glorble.
The Glorble gospel is what I call it.
Dude, it would be so good to have a priest outfit on and that head and then just start reading from the Glorble gospel. Oh,
dude, that's the fun of it. I mean, I did the Glorble agent. Then I did the Glorble. I had a science lab outfit, and that was the Glorble lab agent, where I made I got a food thermometer and I painted it and I kit bashed a bunch of weird parts on it, and I was going around decon scanning people with a paper board for scanning them for Glorble spore and Glorbites and then just recently it's the Glorble private eye. So there's a multiverse of Glorble things happening, and I'm having so much fun just putting it out there and doing what I want with it.
In a world of toys where original IP has been seen as like, this is peak creation, what has it been and what's it like to build this character from the ground up? Because it's, and like strip away all the lore, all the stories, like how hard is it actually to build something that's completely yours from the ground up?
I say if you think about it all at once, it's like completely overwhelming and sometimes hard to even start. My biggest advice for that would be to just start small and just do it, because a lot of times when you're just doing things, other things and ideas will roll out in front of you that you're like, oh, this is perfect. And I wouldn't have thought of this unless I already started doing this, For example, like the Glorble private eye video that I did, at the end of the video, there's a phone number. And we had the idea of, after we made that video, just as like a funny advertisement for this kind of like Better Call Saul Glorble private eye character.
Yeah.
We thought, well, what if we did a whole, like, we could do a little podcast type show where it's you, Glorble private eye, answering voicemails that people left you about like, weird scenarios that are happening. And like that idea would have never formed if we didn't go out there and we're playing around downtown and 70-degree weather with my Glorble helmet on and our cell phones, like filming things. So you just got to start doing it. Start doing it. Start focusing on the things that you can think about or that can, hash out. And then the rest of it, a lot of times, kind of falls into place over time. Another example, I guess, I in my booth display, I have the past decon, and just recently I have a little screen, and I call it the Glorble TV. I put together all this different video content that I've made over the years, and then in between each one, it's got like a channel changing effect.
Dude,
I never thought when filming all this stuff that one day I would be able to put it all together and have a Glorble TV where it looks like you're just flipping through the channels, but that's how it worked out. And now it's like one of my favorite things that I've got. So you just got to do it, I guess. Just gotta
that's
do
an
it.
insane idea, and I love every bit of that. Like having where there's like TV, like booth setup is everything. There is definitely two sides to booth setup where it's like we're just gonna throw out all of our stuff, see what happens. And then there is like a curated, like this is who I am booth setup. And that TV that's doing channels is like chef's kiss.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Like,
And yeah, even that, like I was originally looking for an actual TV to put in the booth, but TVs are super heavy.
mm-hmm.
And then I was suggested a phone, vintage TV phone magnifier on like Instagram or something, which is lightweight. I could put my old cell phone in there. And it just, again, it wasn't initially planned, but as you just start trying and digging in, things just kind of start to happen sometimes.
Yeah, which is incredible. Looking at figure creation, it's the perfect shape, the Glorble, to do resin, to do vinyl, to do plush, to do keychain. Like, it's the perfect shape for all of those things. So where are we headed with the Glorble as you produce, like, either through factory or yourself?
I mean, I like resin a lot. I also like sofubi a lot. I would say the main reason I personally went through sofubi is to be able to make, have different price points for different Glorbles instead of having them all super high. I love that being able to airbrush and throw some paint on soft vinyl, and then those can be Glorbles that are sold for, cheaper price points. Going forward, squishy Glorbles.
Dude.
Scented Glorbles. Working at the toy store, man, we've got a whole section for, Polly Pockets and all kinds of things that used to have little scents and stuff. And I want to figure that out. And I was watching, your interview and of you talking about that, and I was like, I gotta pick your brain about that.
Honestly, it's the easiest thing. So scenting, sofubi or soft vinyl, whatever you want to call it, like they just throw scented oils that can work with the material in, and it like scents the whole batch. And every time I produce a new claw, I have different ideas. And so we've done flocked and electroplated, glow in the dark, clear, like everything that you can think of that we've produced something there. And scented was on the list. And so I just, in working with the factory, was like, what scents can you produce? So you start asking like weird questions, and the factory can only produce 4 scents that they have. It's milk, chocolate, there's this flower that they produce, and then there's one more. And I didn't like any of those. Like, I just don't. They're okay. But I really wanted a bubblegum claw. And so it doesn't translate well. So I'm like finding stuff in Chinese, translated websites to try to find like perfect links that'll work, because every time I say bubblegum or like Hubba Bubba, it's not It's just not going anywhere. And so I finally found some links, and they bought a bunch of different ones, and they sent me, this is the actual one that smells like bubblegum, but they sent me like 12 that was like, this one is spearmint, this one is they call it green arrow, this one is like a little less spearmint mixed with something else, and this one is kind of bubblegum. But it's a lot of trial and error to figure out exactly what you want.
Oh man, that's so cool. I'm gonna have to get one of those bubblegum boys from you.
Absolutely. And it's not more expensive because you're just dripping stuff into the vinyl. So it's not a bigger cost. Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about getting the job at the vintage toy store. Always like that's the move. That's the way that we should go. If we're not in professional toy making, we need to go work with vintage toys. That's how we should split our time. How did that happen?
Yeah, 100%. Gosh, well, it's only been open since December. They just opened up. And by the way, guys, the place is called Subatomic Vintage Toys in Salem, Oregon. And so I guess to start off, we have a place in Salem called Coin Jam. And Coin Jam is like a little arcade bar, but it's themed super cool. They've got like their own kind of skit videos that play on the TVs. They've got a big Han Solo and Carbonite as like their fridge door that opens up. And it's just a ton of really good beer and arcade games. It's a really, really cool place. And one of the guys that owns that, and another guy named Tom, who owned a toy store in Salem prior, quite a few years ago, kind of joined forces and opened up this toy store as a passion project. And Andrea, my girlfriend, actually was acquaintances with one of the managers that started working there named Jen. So she told me, she's like, hey, there's a toy store opening up. So I was very, very persistent in being like, hey, this is what I do when I'm out here. I'm still doing this type of stuff. Besides the designer toy thing, like I said, me and my mom used to go toy hunting and garage sailing, and I watch a lot of Froggy Flips and vintage toy stuff as is. So I'm not like completely oblivious to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I stayed super persistent, man. And I still feel like they don't need me, but they still hired me. And they're so supportive. Like, I don't know if there's anyone more supportive of my art and Glorbles besides my parents than my manager and my bosses at the toy store that I work. And introducing them to designer toys, also they've been piqued interest. They've given me a shelf to sell my toys there. They've now given me another shelf to curate for any of my friends locally that make toys. I can now curate 2 whole shelves. They like bought black lights for it. It's incredible, man. And I get to go to work and be surrounded by things that I'm inspired by. When it's not busy, I'm usually sanding Glorbles or cutting stickers out. People get to come in and I get to give them the spiel and tell them about my stuff and all my friends' stuff. It's a dream come true, man. Couldn't be happier right now with how everything's going.
Dude, working in a vintage toy store is pinnacle. Like, you made it. That's what I want to do so bad. I want to go into like a rundown Toys R Us and open a vintage toy store. That's so sick. You named Polly Pocket, and I love Mighty Max, the other version. And so I like anything vintage toys. I'm so into.
We have a whole shelf of Mighty Max.
I need to go
I'll
up
have
there.
to send you some photos, man. We got packaged. We got in the package Mighty Max.
Dude. Mike, so the current setup right here,
really cool stuff,
is about to like come down, and I'm going to put shelving up because that's a better way to like display it and do all that. And so when I have more room for packaged Mighty Max, I will be reaching out for sure.
Yeah, man, we have some super super cool stuff there. If anyone that's around, the Oregon area, it's worth driving to regardless where you are. It's part museum, part time capsule. They did such a good job putting it together and organizing it, and they have such good tastes. I mean, they know what they're doing for sure.
I love that. Um, with all that, what is next for Fixed Temple Toys? Are we going to shows this year? Do we have things in the works? What is on the docket for Fixed Temple?
Yeah. Well, I just recently did a little pop up in Portland, which was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fun. Prior to that was Pasadena, which was mind blowing, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit while we were there, and man, it was such a crazy turnout. Um, if they start doing Pasadena and Vegas, then those are the two cons that I'm going to every year, man. I'm kind of a decon loyalist at this point, just because it seems like that's where I do the best. That's where my people are, and obviously traveling to these things are expensive. If I could do all of them, I would do all of them, but I'm usually limited to about one or two a year. So yeah, next on the list is Vegas, man. We'll be road tripping there. With Tramped just shutting down, I'm launching a new website that's going to have everything. Um, there's going to be some cool coded things in there where I've got a new glow in the dark sofubi Glorble that is dropping at Decon for a custom show as well. And I have one that is painted and available that will be on the website, but you have to have a secret code to grant access in to buy it. And people will have to go find that code. It's behind some layers, but if you can find it, you can get this Glorble for free and before Decon. So lots of stuff like that, man. A lot of filming. I want to do more lore stuff. I want to do more playing around with different Glorble factions and mutants, and there's a lot of things going on. I'm excited to slowly start rolling them out. So
Heck yeah. We do have to walk back. Did you say Tramped closed down?
yeah,
What?
yeah. Did you haven't heard? Am I breaking the news to you right now?
Yeah, that's crazy.
They had a custom show, and I was in their last custom show. And on the day of the custom show, they kind of announced the news that that was going to be their last show and that the app was shutting down. And the app is gone now. If you even try to click it, it's gone. You can't search anything. And I'm so sad about it, man, because I was like really pushing for that. It was such an amazing idea. It was such a great catalog for everyone. I wish I would have took some screenshots at least of all of my cataloged things before it was gone. But yeah, so now it's on to unfortunately making my own website and paying out the booty to keep it running and domain and all that. But we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, that is sad news. You broke some news. That's crazy. With all of that, which I can't wait to see how the finding the code works, because that's so fun. That what a fun way to do toys. You'll be at Vegas, which I'm hoping you will do content there with Vegas. I think there's funny videos. I think we might be doing live interviews. If we are, I think doing a short cut with you sitting with the helmet on in the seat next to me, but not talking. I just have question after question and you're just not. That would be such a funny thing.
Absolutely up for that. Yeah.
But I'm pumped to see you at DesignerCon, and to see that you're going to keep rocking the house there. For the last part of the podcast, it's plugging everything that you are, everything that you're doing with the new website that you want to create and all that stuff. The next shows, also a hint to the code to get the free Glorble. Please plug away.
Yeah. All right. So Yeah, Fixed Temple Toys. I will be having a website soon that will have drops and stuff on there. So I'm kind of moving away from a lot of different just straight seller sites. But Designer Con's coming up and I'll be there. I'll be coming out with a lot of new um prototypes and the new sofubis that are coming out, the glow in the dark ones for Designer Con. And I had gotten 50 of the translucent that if you go on my Instagram, you can see 50 glow in the dark. Once those are all gone, we'll be putting money in for a whole new run. And besides that, I mean, I guess a lot of what I'm doing is not just toy related. So just kind of keep an eye out on different types of media that are being put out and maybe things that you could poke around on and try and figure out yourself. So that's about it. I mean, we're just grinding, trying to get stuff done right now and spreading the global gospel.
Heck yeah. Dude, thank you for coming on Toys on Tap.
Thank you for having me, man. A pleasure. Hopefully I didn't. Sometimes I can overshare a little bit. So I appreciate you sticking with me here.